After being kicked out of his home, the dog gathers a pack of angry dogs to take revenge on everyone who has hurt him. Today we're going to recap the story of the movie, White God, from 2014. In love with her dog Hagen, Lily always spends her days playing with him. Now that her mother is going away on business, the girl has to spend the next 3 months with her father, who works as a supervisor in a slaughterhouse. After spending the day approving meat for consumption, Daniel finishes cleaning up and goes out to greet his daughter, surprised to discover that Hagen is with her. As he doesn't like dogs, Daniel refuses to take care of him, but his ex-wife no longer has anyone to leave him with and the man is forced to accept. After her mother leaves, Lily approaches her father, who is very authoritarian and makes her spit out her chewing gum. Alone with his daughter, Daniel takes her home where one of the neighbors asks about Hagen, saying that dogs without breeds must be registered in order to stay in the condominium. As he doesn't want to pay the fee, Daniel says he'll get rid of it soon and enters the apartment before anyone else sees the animal. Inside the house, the man continues to be hard on Hagen and prevents his daughter from feeding him human food, sending her to bed as punishment. In the bedroom, Daniel arranges a mattress for Lily and asks her which one she wants to stay on, but the girl replies that it doesn't matter as long as she stays with Hagen. Obviously the man doesn't accept this and says that mutts don't sleep in beds, pulling Hagen by the collar and leading him to the bathroom. As he is not used to being left alone, the caramel dog spends the whole night crying and Lily decides to go there to keep him company. Once again her father refuses and tells her to go to bed, but she doesn't obey and goes to the bathroom anyway, playing the trumpet to calm Hagen down and spending the whole night in the bath with him. The next morning, everyone in the house wakes up to the doorbell ringing and Daniel goes to answer it, meeting an animal control inspector who says he's received an anonymous tip about him having an unregistered dog. Daniel tries to lie by saying that there is no dog in the house, but Lily opens the bathroom door and Hagen goes to the entrance, allowing the inspector to see him. As soon as he sees the animal, the man says that it has bitten someone and asks Daniel to pay the fee, but he refuses, saying that the dog belongs to his ex-wife and that he can send her the bill. As the man insists on not paying, the inspector says he'll take Hagen to the pound and Daniel says he'll do it himself, slamming the door in the official's face. Hearing everything in the hallway, Lily is worried about what might happen to the dog and decides to run away with Hagen, taking him up a mountain to look at the scenery. After a while, Lily goes to her music lesson and takes Hagen with her, hiding him in the closet. As soon as she does, the teacher comes into the room and starts the orchestra, making enough noise to disguise Hagen's crying. When the song is almost over, the dog becomes curious about the teacher's movements and comes out of the closet to approach him. As soon as he notices the dog, the man asks whose animal it is and Lily replies, getting up to leave with him. Seeing this, the conductor tells her to stay and that if she goes through the door she doesn't have to come back, but Lily doesn't care and leaves, causing her to be expelled. While pushing her bike back home, Lily is found by Daniel who starts complaining to her, saying he's been looking for hours and almost called the police. After getting everyone into the car, Daniel asks why Lily has taken Hagen to class and the girl replies that she doesn't want him to go to the shelter. The man says he won't pay to keep the dog and that he doesn't want it in his apartment anymore, blaming Hagen for Lily sneaking out. Once again, the girl says she doesn't want him to go to the shelter and Daniel replies that he'll leave him on the street, stopping the car and dropping Hagen in the middle of the road. Desperate, Lily tries to stop it, but Daniel puts her back in the car and starts speeding back home, leaving the poor dog in the street. Confused, Hagen even tries to run after the car, but he can't catch up and ends up being left behind, which breaks Lily's heart. While her dog suffers alone on the streets, the girl waits for her father to go to sleep and prepares to go out in search of him, but Daniel notices her movement and catches her grabbing food from the fridge, thwarting her plans. Alone on the streets, Hagen walks through the city and begins to get used to the noise of humans. After several hours of walking, the dog begins to feel hungry and approaches a butcher shop to ask for food. While watching the butcher, Hagen sees a white dog and decides to follow her to the back, where he meets several other dogs. When they see the intruder, the other animals start barking at him and end up alerting the butcher, who kicks them all out. Since he's not used to it, Hagen doesn't notice the human's aggression and stands still, almost being captured by the man. Frightened, the dog runs into the butcher shop and tries to hide, but ends up being cornered. When Hagen is about to be eliminated, that dog reappears and distracts the butcher, allowing the bigger dog to escape. Desperate, the two run through the streets of the city until they reach a vacant lot full of other street dogs. Despite the large pack, Hagen stays further away and observes everything from above, but the peace doesn't last long. The next morning, several shelter workers show up and start corralling the dogs, tying them up and putting them in cages. After capturing most of them, 2 employees see Hagen and the dog and start chasing them. Frightened, The animals try to hide among some garbage, but the employees manage to find them and give chase again. Thanks to the help of people on the street, the men find Hagen's tracks again and follow him until he is cornered. With nowhere to run, the dog stands still while the men approach. Now that the dog is quiet, one of the shelter staff realizes that he has a collar and that he is not hostile, and approaches him to pet him. Taking advantage of the fact that the animal has let its guard down, the other man arrives with the lasso to capture it, but just as he is about to do so, the dog reappears and starts barking, distracting the humans so that Hagen can get away. Continuing the chase, the mongrel dog runs through the streets of the city until he ends up being helped by a homeless man, who decides to hide him under his blanket. Thanks to the man's attitude, animal control loses its trail and Hagen is finally at peace. After the men leave, the homeless man ties a rope around the dog's neck and starts taking him further away from home. Far away, Daniel takes Lily back to music class and makes her ask for forgiveness, as well as forcing her to lie by saying that she doesn't want Hagen anymore because he bit her father. Curious, the teacher asks if they have taken the dog to the shelter and Lily replies that it has run away, saying that they will never see it there again. The teacher accepts her apology and decides to give her another chance, returning to class as if nothing had happened. Thoughtful, Lily can't concentrate on the music and decides to start looking for Hagen, sticking up posters all over the city. After spending the day searching, the girl leaves in the rain and pedals to a party where her colleagues are. At the entrance, Trixie asks if she has found her mutt and Peter asks the girl to leave Lily alone. After Trixie enters, Peter starts talking to Lily and shows concern for her, as well as promising to help her stick up some posters next time, which makes the girl start to have feelings for him. On the other side of town, the homeless man takes Hagen to a restaurant and tries to sell him to the owner, saying that he can beat any other dog and asking $8,000 for him. The man replies that it's an ordinary mongrel and offers $2,000, putting a leash on the dog and locking it in the back. A few days later, a buyer called Ivan appears and becomes interested in Hagen, offering $150,000 for him. After buying the animal, Ivan gives it a pill that makes it sleep almost instantly, and takes it to his clandestine kennel. There, the man prepares a shake to make Hagen stronger and signs him up for a clandestine fight. With the battle set, Ivan releases Hagen and starts hitting him with a steel bar, all just to make him more violent. Not satisfied, the man continues his training and makes the dog suffer more and more, lashing out to make him run faster. In addition, Ivan prepares a suspicious injection and gives it to Hagen, making him dizzy until he blacks out, taking the opportunity to grind his teeth. Now that the dog's bite is even more lethal, the man continues his training and makes Hagen more and more aggressive. Not knowing what her partner is suffering, Lily goes to class where the teacher asks everyone what the song is about. When asked, the girl says that music is a way of expressing love, but that he would never understand that because he doesn't have a heart. As a way of punishing her, the man releases all the students and holds Lily until after hours, forcing her to spend hours practicing. After her punishment, Lily decides to look for her dog at the shelter and is answered by an employee who asks how long he has been missing. When she learns that it's been weeks, the woman says that Hagen is no longer alive and tells Lily to give up looking. Furious, the girl accuses the kennel worker of taking the lives of unbred dogs and leaves in frustration. Out of town, Ivan arrives for the fight and pays the entry fee, taking Hagen to the weigh-in and then to the ring. When it comes time to fight, the dog has to face a huge Rottweiler, but despite being smaller, Hagen manages to do well and lands several lethal bites on his opponent's neck. In this way, the caramel dog manages to win the contest and attracts the attention of other people who make an offer for him. Ivan obviously refuses to sell and one of the men decides to turn off the power to the place, freeing Hagen and leaving the man without a dog to fight. While her dog runs desperately through the streets, Lily goes up to Peter and asks to go to a party with him. As the place only accepts adults, the young man pretends that Lily is his girlfriend and takes her to the event, which makes the girl hope to date him. When they get inside, Lily wants to be close to Peter, but the boy quickly lets go of her hand and goes to Trixie's side, with whom he stays all night. After Peter takes his coat to protect Trixie from the cold, Lily gets jealous and starts drinking until she blacks out. The next morning, the girl wakes up to a police dog licking her face and is taken to the police station, where she sits next to a policewoman until her father arrives. When he shows up to pick up his daughter, Daniel has a quick chat with the policewoman and starts to take Lily out. Halfway there, the man regrets the way he's been acting and apologizes to the girl, saying he doesn't want to lose her. To show his regret, Daniel suggests they go to the shelter to look for a new puppy, but Lily refuses, saying she doesn't want another dog. Back at home, Daniel begins to act differently and asks for time off work to be with his daughter, but the girl says it's not necessary and encourages him to go to work, promising not to look for Hagen anymore. Near the center, the dog returns to the wasteland and meets the white dog again, who is happy to see him. Together, the two spend their days playing, but when they go to the beach to look for food, they end up being cornered by animal control who take them to the shelter. When the dogs arrive, the employee notices that Hagen has an injury to his paw and asks it to separate him from the others, taking the dog to the part where the veterinary clinic is located. There, Hagen sees the employee disposing of a dog and begins to fear that this is his future. Thoughtful, the dog is taken to his cage and spends the next few days without eating or interacting with other animals, just drinking water. At the kennel, a group of people arrive to look at the dogs and a woman takes an interest in Hagen, approaching the cage to touch him. Because of Ivan's training, the dog attacks the woman and almost bites her hand. When she hears about this, the employee goes to the cage and removes Hagen from adoption, ordering one of the employees to take him to the back. Just as he's about to be put in the cage, Hagen manages to break free from the noose and starts growling at the employee. Instead of calming him down, the man tries to intimidate the dog and ends up taking a fatal bite to the neck, falling to the ground lifeless. Inside the cage, the other dogs push the human's body and make their way out of the kennel, led by Hagen. With no idea what's going on, Lily prepares for her big performance and goes to the theater to play with her colleagues, while Hagen leads a pack of hundreds of dogs to the orchestra venue. Around the city, people notice that the dogs have gotten loose and panic begins to spread, with dogs causing real chaos around the place. After crossing the entire city, the dogs arrive at the performance venue and make the audience panic just by their presence. As soon as she sees the animals, Lily realizes that they are there because of her and takes her trumpet to go to Hagen. Realizing what she's planning, Peter tries to stop her by saying it's dangerous, but he sees how determined the girl is to continue and decides to help her. After descending the stairs, they arrive at the exit and Lily takes her bike to look for Hagen, pedaling through the city streets in search of the dog. With her bike, the girl pedals to the center where she begins to be chased by a group of dogs. Frightened, Lily pedals faster and faster and ends up being run over by the dogs, falling to her knees on the ground. Even though she's fallen, none of the dogs try to bite her and the girl gets up to continue her search. In the evening, the restaurant owner is having dinner when the dog arrives to take revenge. When he sees the animal, the man thinks it's back to be sold again and starts to call it, but Hagen just stands there staring at him. Suddenly, the other dogs appear and all go after the man at once, taking several bites and avenging their leader. Still looking for Hagen, Lily arrives at the restaurant some time later and finds the glass covered in blood. Right after her, the police also appear and ask her if she saw what happened, as well as saying that they will take her home. Apprehensive, Lily asks if the police are going to dispose of the animals and the officer confirms, saying that they will pick them up in the morning. At a loss for what to do, the girl obeys the police and gets into the car, but as soon as he gets distracted by the radio, she takes advantage and runs out the other door. Looking for her dog, Lily ends up in the meat store where she finds the butcher already lifeless. Seeing the scene, the girl starts to feel sick and throws out her lunch. While still at the sink, Lily hears a cell phone ringing and realizes it's in the pocket of the man on the floor. After rejecting the call, the girl calls Daniel and warns him that the police will eliminate all the dogs in the morning, saying that she has to find Hagen first. Desperate, the man says he has a curfew and asks his daughter where she is, but Lily doesn't answer and hangs up on her father. Suddenly, the girl hears a thin bark and starts looking for the source of the sound, finding that white dog. On the other side of the city, the dogs run through a tunnel when some vehicles block the way. Using lethal ammunition, the police start shooting at the dogs, which continue to run towards them. Realizing that everyone will lose their lives, Hagen turns his pack back and starts running in the opposite direction. In the suburbs, Ivan is watching the news when he decides to go to the toilet. While he is doing his business, the dogs begin to surround him and prepare to attack. When the man approaches the fridge, the dogs start to appear and Ivan grabs a penknife from the table to defend himself. Before he can do anything, all the animals come at him at once and slaughter him without giving him a chance to fight back. From the butcher's shop, the white dog starts to guide Lily to Hagen when they bump into an animal control van. As soon as she sees the vehicle, the girl stops pedaling and shouts for the dog to hide, but the female doesn't understand and continues running. Without thinking twice, the employee pulls out a rifle and shoots the dog, knocking it down with a shot near the paw and finishing with a second shot shortly afterwards. In the apartment, the woman who denounced Hagen is looking for Daniel when she hears a growl. Shortly afterwards, Lily arrived at the place looking for her father and came across the woman's lifeless body, making her state of shock even worse. Not knowing what to do, the girl begins to cry when she sees her father's keys. Thinking she can find him in his work, the girl goes there and starts looking for Daniel, finding him on the balcony. Relieved to see her again, Daniel tells his daughter to go to the front door and that he will unlock it for her, but as soon as Lily is out of sight, Hagen and the other dogs appear in the doorway, which makes the man desperate. To save his daughter, Daniel asks for another employee's card and rushes to the entrance of the slaughterhouse, grabbing a knife and a gas cylinder to defend his daughter. Outside, Lily is going where her father told her to when she hears a bark behind her. When she turns around, the girl sees Hagen and tries to talk to him, but the dog doesn't seem to recognize her and starts moving towards her. Frightened, Lily throws a stick to try and distract Hagen, but it doesn't work and he starts barking, calling the rest of his pack. Seeing the other dogs, Lily runs to the entrance while being chased by the animals. Hearing the barking outside, Daniel becomes desperate and tries to swipe his access card to get out, but for some reason the reader doesn't work and he gets stuck inside. Cornered, Lily stops running and comes face to face with Hagen, who starts growling. Confused, the girl asks what he's doing and tries to calm him down, but just as she's about to succeed, Daniel appears with a makeshift flamethrower to scare the animals away, which makes everyone even more agitated. Desperate, Lily asks her father to stop, but the man doesn't listen and she decides to play her trumpet. Hearing the sound of the instrument, Hagen seems to remember who she is and finally calms down, lying down in front of Lily with the other dogs. After everyone lies down, the girl stops playing and does the same as them, lying down facing Hagen and staring at him. At that moment, the other slaughterhouse employees appear and ask if they should call the police, but Daniel says they should wait, lying down next to his daughter and also gaining the trust of the animals. So what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below. And if you like the video, like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you next time.